Hello and welcome to another episode of WVU Extension Today. I'm your host, Zach Harrell. Of the many challenges that rural communities face, one of the biggest is mental health. Did you know that rural communities have 20% fewer primary care providers, and 65% of those communities don't have psychiatrists? We sat down with family and community development agents Amy Cook and Dave Roberts to talk about mental health and some of the resources that are available to our rural communities.
As we was talking, we know in a lot of our counties there's not a lot of resources for mental health. There's not behavioral health care centers. There's not professionals to meet a lot of those needs. We are getting more of our primary care physicians and community health centers that are kind of entering into the world, but even still, a lot of just resources are lacking in our communities.
Absolutely. And we've seen an uptick in the number of agencies that are offering online therapy and those sorts of things, telehealth, but we just don't have the knowledge in those rural communities for people to know about those programs as well. So even when there are resources available, we don't always get the word out as well as we could in our rural communities.
One of the challenges, and as we've talked also, in West Virginia, we do have a heritage, a belief of pride. Mountaineers are always free, resilient, pulling ourselves up by our bootstraps, so not wanting to ask for help. And again, although in all of our communities, we're very quick to help our neighbor, we're very quick to respond when somebody needs that, it's that internalization of often being the one that needs that help is difficult to ask for. It's difficult to seek that out. So again, a lot of what we're doing with these conversations is just trying to normalize some of the behavioral health needs, mental health needs, taking care of that side just the same as we're taking care of our physical health. Any chronic diseases with diabetes, we do our Dining with Diabetes class, and individuals see that in a much different light, that is a long-term, lifetime illness. It's the same with a lot of our mental health challenges, and being able to have the resources to address those issues just like any on the physical side.
And when we talk about mental health, as Dave mentioned, people look at that different than they do a physical health problem. And what we know is that we really need to address it in the same way. So when we look at our communities and think about how can we get people involved in helping, oftentimes we hear, well, I'm not trained in mental health. I don't have that education or that background to be able to help people. So what we've been working on is really helping to equip those communities to be able to deal with situations, make them comfortable addressing mental health. And one of the biggest things that we can do is destigmatize mental health. And that's a lot of the work that we've been doing, is to empower communities to make better decisions when it comes to mental health, and just the individual people, how they talk about things, how they, the language that they use when talking about mental health issues, so that people who do need help feel more comfortable asking for that help and receiving that help.
And even just having the conversations in the communities. One of the programs, QPR, that we've been taking around the state in many different communities, is just a way to have a conversation around an often difficult topic. Suicide's not something we talk a lot about. And again, the more we have those conversations, the less scary they are. The more we can talk about it, the more we can, again, normalize and have that conversation in a setting other than just after a tragedy, because that's oftentimes when it becomes paramount, is when there has been a tragedy in the community. That's when there's a flood of resources. But we need to be able to have that conversation anytime. And help take that, so it's not always just so hot or cold, that it is, here's what's needed.
And that's the prevention piece too, is not just responding when a tragedy happens, but having those people who are in the community and are people that people know they can go to talk to, as there's resources, so that we don't end up in a tragedy. We don't end up having to deal with it after the fact, but having that prevention piece, making people comfortable talking about things and asking for help.
Just wrap up the Farsand grant, which was a program that was made available with some funding through the West Virginia Department of Agriculture, and through that, we had 25 agents across West Virginia has been trained to deliver or host the QPR conversation in their community.
QPR is a suicide prevention training. Question, persuade, refer is what that stands for.
Right.
So again, empowering those community members to be able to have those difficult conversations.
And so if that is something that, an individual or you may be interested in your community, reach out to your local extension office. It's possible that somebody at that office may not have gone through the training, but it's very likely they're going to be able to put them in touch with somebody on the team that has. Like I said, with the numbers that we have across the state, we'll be able to have that conversation in about any community in the state right now.
One of the best ways to reduce stress, and this will come in handy with the impending holidays, is by practicing mindfulness. Now, mindfulness activities can take various forms. You can do breathing exercises, you can practice meditation, even physical activity can fit into that. Our own Meadoe Richards is here to teach us a mindfulness exercise that you can practice right there at home.
I am Meadoe Richards. I work at the State WVU Extension Office. I am the Program Coordinator for Materials and Resources. And today I will be talking about the GEM curriculum, which is Get Experience in Mindfulness. So the benefit of mindfulness helps reduce stress levels. It helps with the areas of mindfulness with social, spiritual, intellectual. There is breathing techniques within the program, different yoga positions, and then also we do like a hand massage and a mindfulness wheel to kind of look at the different sections of stress. So a labyrinth can be used by anyone. It has helped to clear your mind, and as you're walking through the labyrinth or tracing the labyrinth, you're thinking about what's going on in your mind and clearing all those negative thoughts and having a less stressful day. So as you're walking through your labyrinth or tracing your labyrinth, you're thinking about what's going on in your mind, and by the time you get to the center of the labyrinth, you're hopefully going to have a clear mind. Now that we've learned what GEM mindfulness is, we're going to go and walk through the labyrinth activity with y'all. So now we're going to draw our labyrinth. If you want to draw a big labyrinth to walk, maybe in your yard, in the parking lot, all you need is a piece of chalk. If you're at home or you're at work and you're feeling a little stressed and you want to make a finger labyrinth, all you need is a piece of paper and a pencil, and that can just sit on your desk whenever you need it. And let's get started. Now that we have drawn our labyrinth, we're going to go through the process of walking it. So as you walk through your labyrinth or trace your labyrinth, you want to think about all the things that are on your mind. So maybe you have a big project coming up and you're worried about the presentation of that project, or you have a long to-do list at work. So you want to think about all the things on your mind and how to resolve those things. And as you get to the middle, you should have a clear and focused mind. And the great thing about labyrinths is that they can be a group activity. It could be team building or a class activity. As one individual starts the labyrinth, another can continue behind them. So as you're thinking about clearing your mind, you're not going to run into conflicts with other individuals.
In an effort to combat some of the health disparities facing our rural and underserved communities, WVU Extension and West Virginia State University Extension have partnered for the Extension Collaborative on Immunization, Teaching, and Engagement, EXCITE for short. It's funded by the U.S. Department of Agriculture's National Institute of Food and Agriculture, NIFA, as well as the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC. The goal of the program is to enhance vaccine education and immunization outreach in West Virginia. We sat down with some folks from EXCITE to learn more about the program.
In West Virginia, we have one of the older populations in the United States. We also have a population that has experienced difficulties in accessing healthcare over time. The EXCITE project is short for the Extension Collaborative on Immunization, Teaching, and Engagement. Is an initiative that is being led by the Extension Foundation. An important partner in this whole project is the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. During the pandemic itself, the Extension Foundation, working with CDC, engaged land-grant universities across the United States, including West Virginia University and West Virginia State University, in this project to essentially get word out on COVID-19 vaccine availability and to address issues of competence and hesitancy. And so that became a platform to reach adults, to talk to them about the importance of understanding the vaccine and making that decision to get the vaccine for the betterment of themselves, for their families, for our communities. And so that was EXCITE 1. That was the very first iteration of this project. Here in West Virginia, we gave particular attention to face-to-face work, vaccine events, education events that would help families understand the COVID-19 vaccine and its availability. We were so fortunate to partner with our other land-grant university here in West Virginia State University, and their extension service. So initially, our platform was to work with West Virginia State University and the Healthy Grandfamilies program that they initiated and that we all participate in.
We believe that grandparents are kind of like uniquely positioned in a way that they are probably not closer to information like you would if you were parents in this generation. And we often also saw that grandparents are in charge of taking care of their grandchildren. West Virginia is one of the states that I've seen that grandparents taking care of their grandchildren, I think 4th in the nation for that. So we wanted to really focus on this particular audience to see how we can bridge intergenerational gap in terms of information, education, and the likes. So we did the rapid assessment and we saw that, yes, there are lots of fears, right? Not sure of what the vaccine will do to their grandchildren. So from there, we moved forward to EXCITE 2, which basically focused on education and awareness. So we've seen what they are saying. How then can we move forward and start to do what we know how to do best in extension by translating science information and making it applicable for individuals in the community. So beyond programming, EXCITE is situated. The vehicle for the implementation of the program is Healthy Grand Families. So we inserted EXCITE into the Healthy Grand Family program. But outside of that, we've made connections with West Virginia Prevention Science here in WVU. We've made connections with the School of Pharmacy and also with the Public Health, School of Public Health as well. So we have investigators across WVU who have at one point or the other worked with us to kind of like push the right messaging. We don't see ourselves as an expert. Extension is, we are in between the research and the people. So we are also leaning on experts in the field, right? Telling us what are the myths that we can see in the community and what are the facts of vaccine. Relying on that knowledge, that is what we take to the people, for the people to have all what they need to make their decision.
This became the foundation of the next stages of the EXCITE project, EXCITE 2, and what we now call EXCITE 3. And these efforts focus primarily not only on COVID-19 vaccine education, engagement, and access, but very importantly, vaccine education, outreach, and access issues surrounding other adult diseases, whether it's pneumonia, hepatitis, tetanus, shingles, a whole host of vaccines that adults should consider getting.
COVID-19, because of all the controversial topics around it, could have, right, prevented individuals from actually taking the vaccine or even introducing the vaccines to their kids. So, but I think opening it up to vaccine in general kind of like helps us to not only educate individuals about other vaccines, but to also compare and say, if you've taken a flu, then COVID-19 is also in the same light. At some point, this was developed to prevent people from getting, the flu, right? So I see it more of opening it up and having people have the access to the information as it is, rather than going through other means that might not be evidence-based.
With Excite One, our reach is across the state. We've had the great opportunity to host information booths at the state fair, but we are concentrating on 5 counties with Excite 3. Those counties include Logan, Lincoln, Mingo, McDowell, and Wyoming counties. These 5 counties emerged as examples, as areas where we might be able to engage the communities around vaccine education. Communities that were demonstrating lower levels of vaccine take-up, communities that were medically underserved, also communities that were experienced as the Appalachian Regional Commission might designate as economic distress. But there was another important part of all this as well, and that is these communities have rich and dynamic community organizations that we could work with as well, including local health departments and other community organizations. In addition, both West Virginia University Extension and West Virginia State University Extension have a presence in these counties. And here's another important thing. While we are working with these 5 counties, we are also working within our own extension community, our faculty, our specialists, our agents across the state, to help them become more confident in providing information on vaccines. So 5 counties where we're going to be on the ground, all 55 counties where we are reaching extension professionals.
We should also not forget our charge of being in between the source of knowledge, the university community, and also the people in the community as well. So continuing to bridge that gap, translating science. If we continue to brew science in the university community without the use, then science is nothing, right? So we have to constantly extend that knowledge to folks in the community, just like we are doing for farmers, just like we are doing for youth. We also have a role to play in health. So Excite 3 is also pushing beyond that to look at extension professional self-efficacy, their level of confidence in infusing vaccine education into their already grown and developed programs.
West Virginia is not simply taking this program off the shelf and implementing it. We're developing knowledge. We are developing approaches in partnership with these communities that can help to inform our colleagues across the national extension system. We've picked up so many lessons from our colleagues elsewhere. It's been really helpful. And I think in some small part, we've contributed to their knowledge as well.
You might not want to think about it, but the holiday season is fast upon us. And that means a lot of things. Decorations, cups of hot cocoa, and of course, shopping. Lauren Weatherford is here to talk to us about how you can shop safely and securely this holiday season.
I'm Lauren Weatherford, and I am the WVU Extension Family and Community Development Agent covering Fayette and Nicholas counties. And today I'm here to talk to you about online shopping and shopping safety throughout the holiday season. One of the things that made me want to come and talk about this topic is that according to the FBI, 75% of Americans were subject to some kind of fraud last year. In 2021, that added up to almost $7 billion in fraudulent activity that took place. Given the amount of shopping that we do, given that 1/3 of all charitable donations happen in the month of December, I wanted to go ahead and talk about how we can keep ourselves safer through the holiday shopping season. In general, the FBI reports that there's two kinds of basic frauds that take place. One is that you either don't receive the goods that you purchased, they don't come at all, or they're not what you ordered. And the second type is that the seller never gets paid. So we want to make sure to kind of use good processes, safe, secure processes that allow for those things to either be anticipated or to make sure that the whole process happens through the end. The tip that I'm about to give you really does cover the gambit from whether you're shopping on a site, whether you're shopping on social media, you have a pop-up and you go, oh, that looks super neat and I want to click that. The first thing you want to look for is it a reputable name? That's one thing that makes you go, okay, maybe that's a good option. The second thing is there are some things that are coming up as kind of masking sites or fake sites that are popping up. So maybe it looks like something like an Amazon, or it says Amazon, but it's not an Amazon. You can tell that. Check for spelling errors or improper grammar or just something that looks off about it. If you're unsure, the rule is always then let it go. So we say that about food safety too. If you're not sure, throw it out. Same thing kind of applies for these kinds of online shopping things. If it looks questionable, don't trust it. Go to the site of that seller and then log in or shop on that site directly without going through the link that somebody provided you. That's one of the best safety tips you can do. There's one that talks about travel incentives, and it's targeting an older age group. Buy this thing and we'll give you 2 free plane tickets. Buy this thing and there'll be a hugely discounted cruise ship package. If they're offering it through something that they sent you, they will also be offering it on their website. So shut that down, go to the website, look at it there. If it's not there, it doesn't exist. 2 things to look for, and these are both in the address for the website. One is in the website it needs to say HTTPS. If it says HTTPS, then that is an indicator that's a secure site. And also, if you see a little padlock right in front of the address, that means that this is a secure shopping site that's been verified. So that is also a place that you can trust. A lot of them have these when you log in, they ask the security questions, or they want to send you the text code to your phone. And a lot of people moan and groan that's, I don't want to do that. I just want to shop what I want. But these things are in place to help keep your shopping experience and your data secure. So I highly recommend that you go ahead and create that account with those safety features, like getting a code text to your phone. Always accept it, because that is another layer of security that helps protect you. Sitting in your pajamas on your couch and shopping also comes with a little more responsibility. And that responsibility means that when you're looking at a seller, you want to make sure to double check things like the product reviews, and you want to make sure that the seller reviews are also there. If you find a seller who has 0 reviews, I would automatically never shop from that seller. A lot of this sounds like the world is a scary place, but I want to keep in mind too, when you're looking at things like product reviews and seller reviews, people can be very reactive online, because it's very easy to be reactive when you're sitting at home behind a screen. So look at those reviews in context. Look at both the bad reviews and the good reviews, and then measure your own values against that. Because some of the people who have negative reviews may have reviews about something that doesn't really matter to you. I read one review, and this is where it goes on both sides. I read one review, after 3 years, the item fell apart. And I thought, well, after 3 years, it should fall apart. That would seem it wasn't gonna last forever. The other thing you can do is there are lots of sites online where you can go and verify whether a site, you can type in, is this site a scam? And you'll get lots of information, and you can see very quickly. We have a lot of stores now that are either things like fast fashion or wholesalers that get things from all over the world, and you want to look at where these things are being shipped from, and you want to see what other people's experiences are. So if you can't find it on the site in the reviews, you can find it if you kind of go in and search and say, is this a reliable place to shop? The other thing that's kind of happening right now is a lot of people are getting text messages, emails that are saying, we couldn't deliver your package. You want to make sure that you take that extra step to watch the tracking process and go through the tracking process for your packages and know when they're arriving. And that accomplishes a couple of things. You can get the exact tracking number. You can go to the shipper's site and check that tracking number, and you don't need to click on a link that you got from somebody that was unsolicited. The other thing that accomplishes is you see it on the news programs and so forth, where people are stealing packages off porches. So you want to know when your packages are arriving. So either if you're available, you can bring them in, or you can have somebody, come to your house or somebody else in your household bring them in. Make sure they're not staying out on your porch where it's just very available to thievery. We do get a lot of things from overseas. Normal shipping rates and times have come down from the pandemic and come back to kind of a normal level. They still can take quite a long time. So things from different parts of the world can take as long as 45 days. And they're saying about 20% of people are getting them within the time frames. So you still may experience some delays, but 45 days prior to Christmas is the beginning of November. And we're here in October, and we want to make sure that you're getting your things in time. So if you haven't purchased them by the 1st of November, you probably should not purchase them from that site. If anybody ever asks you to purchase a gift card and send it to them, do not. That is an automatic flag. Never purchase a gift card and send it to somebody in exchange for goods or services. The other thing that you want to know about gift cards, which I thought was interesting, is that I found a recommendation that said, avoid the gift cards that are on the racks at the store. Use a credit card to purchase the gift card and have it sent to you directly. Because one of the things that people can do is they can hack the gift cards on the rack in the store, the grocery store, or the big box store. And they slice open the thing, and then they get the number out. And then when you activate the card, they can then access the value of that gift card. While shopping on credit cards can be dangerous in terms of your personal finances, and you want to avoid high interest rates and things like that, sometimes the best thing, credit cards have some of the best safety features. You have fraud protection on most major credit cards these days. That's usually an automatic. So you do want to check your credit card account, make sure that fraud protection is on there. You can usually go to your credit card and say, hey, either somebody charged something they weren't supposed to, or I bought something and it never arrived, and they will often be able to refund your money. Not all debit cards, which take the money directly from your bank, have fraud protection. You need to check with your bank. So it is recommended that you purchase things with credit cards to get that extra layer of security. To protect your own personal finances and make sure you don't end up with large credit card debt is then to pay that credit card very shortly after you made the purchase. Pay it within the month before the cycle has turned over, and there's no interest fees. And you gain the points or the benefits or the cash back, but you still didn't carry that balance. Do your homework. That's what it comes down to. Do your homework. Don't trust things that are too good to be true, and take the extra steps that it takes to be safe. I hope everyone out there has a safe and secure holiday season.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of WVU Extension Today. We hope you'll join us right back here next time. But until then, I hope you're just like Humpty Dumpty and have a great fall.